Life is all about change, and throughout my life, there has been a lot of change. Believe me. For the past 10 years of my life, I've been shifting place to place, country to country, experiencing different cultures every single time. And today, I'm here to tell you what I've learned in the past 10 years in 10 minutes. Now, I was born into an Indian family in Stockholm, Sweden. At the age of 3, we shifted to Dhaka, Bangladesh. 3 years later, we shifted back to Europe, but this time to Ireland. Now, I spent most of my primary years in school, and I started to attend school as soon as we shifted. For the first few days, I hadn't talked to anybody, and nobody knew much about me, except that I'm Indian. But as I started to participate more in class, gain more confidence, they started to at least notice me. But I was only approached when they wanted to inquire more about India, which I knew nothing until then. Otherwise, I was never talked to. As time progressed, I started to understand what their culture was, how they behaved, and what they were like. But it was not easy to adapt or understand their culture because of the influences I had from places I had previously lived. As my classmates and I started to get older, I was now not ignored and isolated. I was put into the limelight, but the limelight of shame. I was teased due to my opinions, traditions, and culture I followed. One thing I was teased for the most was the food I brought in my lunchbox. I would bring food that, once open, would leave a certain aroma which would leave everyone in disgust. So my classmates would then come around me and make insulting and derogatory remarks. This was only one way they used to tease me. I faced problems like these socially and culturally and accepted them as they were. In 2014, we shifted to Mumbai, where I changed schools and shifted to Haryana in the same year. But as I was shifting place to place in India, I realized that I was easily adapted and easily accepted because the people around me were like-minded. I do not blame how my classmates in Ireland treated me. They were, including me, still young and naive. We didn't know how big the world was going to get. Now, throughout this talk, I've been just ranting about how shifting place to place had made my life worse, or how bad the experience was. But did I mention the good things coming out of it? Independence, courage, the ability to adapt, self-determination, all which came from the challenges I faced in Ireland. To help you relate to what I'm trying to say, let me narrate a story about the Japanese fishermen to you. The Japanese have always loved fresh fish, but the water near Japan has not held many fish for decades. So fishing boats went farther than ever just to get fish. And if the return trip took longer, the fish did not taste fresh. So fishing companies installed freezers on their boats so that the fishermen could catch the fish and freeze them at sea itself. But the Japanese could taste the difference between frozen and fresh fish. So to tackle this problem, fishing companies installed fish tanks onto their boats so that fishermen could catch the fish alive and keep the fish alive until they reached the harbor. During the return trip, the fish were a little thrashed around and became tired, dull, and tasteless. The fishing industry was facing an impending crisis. But today, they still managed to get fresh fish. How did they manage? Simple. They still kept fish tanks on the boats, but this time with a small shark. Hence, the fish are constantly challenged to move. In this story, you can imagine the shark as the new challenges I faced when I was in Ireland, and when I was in a new environment, such as the requirement of adapting, the requirement of socializing, and the need for new friends. And the fishes as me, who was constantly challenged to keep lively and tasty. So fishing These challenges kept me lively. Otherwise, if you never have challenges in life, if you're never on your toes, you might as well be as cold, dead, and tasteless as the fish in the freezer. Life without challenges is life without meaning. So what if you do get bitten by a shark? That is the process of challenges. You rise up and you swim with the fishes again. To end off my speech, I would like to ask all of you, what shark will you put in your fish tank next? Thank you.